I've mentioned this a couple of times in all of the Brock Purdy MVP hullabaloo. Today's actually not the greatest day to try to make the argument. It's not, because he did have 4 touchdown passes, and on 3 of them, you do have to actually credit the receiver more than anyone else.
See?
I mean, the Brandon Ayuk one, even that one, that throw did not need to be a diving catch. He led him a little bit too much, and Ayuk made a great play. And then after that,
that was a Shanahan production anyway.
Well, how about that when he's out there pointing to him? He's like,
he's open.
Throw it there.
He's open. Dang it.
So great. But, Debo breaking the tackle over the middle, Juwan Jennings throwing a defender onto the sideline and running in the end zone, and then the screen to Debo at the end. Look, he played turnover-free, had great presence, and led his team on 6 consecutive touchdown drives. So you give Purdy all the credit in the world. But if you're trying to make an MVP case, the Dallas game was better than that one yesterday.
Yeah.
Except for that it was at home. That's what was so impressive about yesterday is he's doing it in the environment in which he was doing it.
Evan Giddings, producer and host extraordinaire, texted me and said 212 yards of yak of his 314.
Okay. So that is more than 50%.
Yeah, it's damn near 66 points.
Yeah. Yesterday is not the crown jewel of your MVP chase.
But again, we don't look at all the minutia when we vote, and I don't unfortunately have a vote for MVP, but you look at 19 to 27 for 314 and 4, and you think, wow.
And 0 interceptions.
Of course, and a QB
turnovers.
rating of 148.8. Not quite perfect, but a terrific day in a tough environment against the best team in football, record-wise. Mm-hmm. And so those things all matter more than what his yak was like.
Yeah, totally. I think there's 2 things to me, and one is sort of against the Brock MVP case, and one is big for it. The one against it that I know will stick with a lot of people, and I get it, is that when a couple of key teammates were out, the 49er offense only produced 17 points a game. That's big in the minds of many when it comes to voting for MVP. You got no Trent, you got no Debo, you can't get to 20 points. Now, there's circumstances surrounding that for sure, but that's a fair point. The one that I think in his direction, though, that's huge, that I don't think anyone else can boast. No one else in the league can boast this. Brock has been at his best in the biggest games. When you look at his numbers against Dallas, you look at his numbers at Jacksonville, you look at his numbers at Philadelphia, even at Seattle Thanksgiving, and I know that wasn't an unbelievable statistical game, but the best opponents they've played, the division leaders they've played, sometimes having to do it on the road, and you're talking 0 turnovers, and, Jacksonville, Dallas, Philly, just those 3 games, what is that? I think 10 touchdowns, no picks in those 3 games, and probably close to 1,000 yards passing. So that to me, when we talk about MVPs, that's big, is what do you do in your biggest games against the best opponents? And Brock has torched them. Absolutely torched them.
Right, and all 3 of those wins, and if you look at the losses even, you can look at certain factors that would lead you to think why they didn't perform as well as they should have, and you mentioned the injured players and also the spot in the schedule against the Bengals and the rest of it, and he had a pretty good statistical day against Minnesota, but the McCaffrey fumble and a couple things didn't go his way. At the end of it, though, people who don't watch every snap and every game, you're going to look at the bigger things, the bigger numbers, and he's got some of those big numbers in his favor, the completion percentage, the QB rating, the QBR, all the rest of the things statistically you could look at, and if his team winds up with the best record or darn near it, that's a loud statement as well.
Yeah, no, he is firmly in the race. I know that some houses have him leading it right now, if you will, or the odds-on favorite, if you will. If you don't want to go in there and go get into that, that's fine. Bottom line, he is in this race. There's no doubting that. Okay, back to the phones. Willard and Dibs, 888-957-9570. How about Dre in Lemoore? What's up, Dre? What are you doing?
I'm just driving home, enjoying your guys' show. Hey, first off, I want to talk a little about Montana, like you were saying, but let me say, I know you, for sure, Willard, you hate the Dodgers. And Dibs, I hope you do the same. And I know you guys have to hate the Cowboys. We want home field for our Niners. It's going to be hard to root for the Cowboys next week, but I'm going to find myself doing it.
You can do it, Dre. You can do it. Just put your you-know-what into it, okay?
I'll do that. Now
right.
With Montana, he used to get some hate. Now, the first Super Bowl with Kenny Anderson, they weren't really comparing him. When he won, he was a little golden boy, and they didn't talk too bad about him. But when he went against Marino, Montana didn't have the size. He didn't have the arm. He didn't have the strength. When he went against Boomer Esiason, I think Boomer was the MVP that year. Montana wasn't as big. He wasn't as strong. He couldn't do it like Boomer. Then he went against Elway. Even though Elway had lost Super Bowls. Hey, Montana, he's not that. He's not Elway. He never will be. But you know what Montana was a winner. And I ain't comparing Brock to Montana, but I am. I see it in his future. And he ain't the biggest, the strongest, the fastest. But right now, he is the best, and he is the MVP. You guys know that.
Dre, thank you very much. If the vote happened today, I agree with you. I think he'd win. But the vote doesn't happen today. But if the vote happened today, I think he'd win. I
don't think that he would win if the vote happened today.
Who do you think would win?
Tyreek Hill.
Oh, gosh. You have a lot of faith in voters.
I don't have a lot of faith in voters.
This is a quarterback award.
Yes, but hear me out on this.
Okay.
And it's a quarterback award except when it's not. And when it's not, it's because somebody did something that is so extraordinary as to break a record that maybe this isn't a hallowed record. No receiver's ever gone for more than 2,000 yards.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal.
It's a 17-game season, and he's probably going to do it. He might do it in 16 games. And if he doesn't do it in 16, he'll do it in 17 if he stays healthy. And I think this is a year where, from an electorate standpoint, you're looking at a split vote among quarterbacks. There's no clear-cut quarterback who should or will or is going to win. You can look at Dak, Brock, I think Tua's in the mix, and you've got your known commodities, Patrick Mahomes, who I don't think is going to win, but he's somebody that people are going to be drawn to. And I think when you look at there being no definitive quarterback to win the award that normally goes to a quarterback, you start to look at other candidates, and you look at a wide receiver who is on pace to break a record for a really fun offense that we all like. I think he's got a chance to win the award based on the fact that the vote would get split among quarterbacks.
It's interesting that you didn't even bring up Lamar, because to me, I think this is so top of mind. That's why he's not being brought up today, is because he didn't play yesterday. But quite frankly, he probably has a bigger stake to it than Mahomes or Hurts.
Fair enough.
And you know, there's a reason in the odds that all of those QBs you named are ahead of Tyreek Hill right now. I'm not even disagreeing with you. What Hill has done, he is the number one reason why the Dolphins are what they are, but they also don't have any real signature wins. That's my biggest complaint.
Yeah, but I don't
Dolphins.
think voters look at signature wins when it comes to the MVP.
Yeah, I think they do. I think how you play in your biggest games matters, and the fact that they played the Chiefs and lost, and played the Bills and lost, and played the Eagles and lost. You know, like right now, the Dolphins' best win, good Lord, they're so exactly like the Cowboys. The Dolphins' best win, I guess, is you'd have to go all the way back to when they beat Denver by 50. And Denver really wasn't then what they are now. But, gosh, they have not beaten any good teams. And so that's why I believe today the only two quarterbacks that even would pass the smell test are Brock, Dak, and Lamar. Lamar didn't play. And if you're looking at Brock and Dak, it's like, well, they played each other. And you know what happened. And so I really do. I hear what you're saying, but I believe that if the vote happened today, Brock would have win.
Yeah, Lamar's not getting it. I mean, Lamar is 7th in quarterback rating, and if you look at just yards, he's 17th. He's right ahead of Josh Dobbs.
Well, right. His yards are always down because he uses his legs a lot more.
But he's not using his legs as much as he used to. He's probably not going to get 1,000 yards rushing. And that's why he won the MVP, because he was the first quarterback to rush for 1,000.
Yeah.
He threw for 3,000, and that was a special year. And when Adrian Peterson won the award, that was a special year. And so I think when you look at this year, Brock Purdy's having the best year as a quarterback, but there are still enough people out there who are hitting him with system, hitting him with dink and dunk, hitting him with talent around him. There are enough knocks against him, and I'll be fair, these are all fake knocks against Brock. These are not real Brock knocks. These are fake knocks.
School of Brock knocks?
It's the school of Brock knocks. Thank you for taking it one step further. But I do think that there are enough of those out there to where the vote would get split among quarterbacks. Yeah. And if Tyreek Hill has 2,100 yards receiving, he's going to win the award.
Yeah, I bet you on that. But, I mean, it's also contingent on what they do the rest of the way in some of their big games. Yes. Remember, Brock has the opportunity of yet another massive standalone, everybody just ate. You're tired. Sit down, unbuckle your belt, and watch him going against another elite team. And if they beat the Ravens 31-14, and he's got 3 touchdown passes, I'm sorry, he's going to win that thing. He's going to win that thing. So we'll see.